If a parent requests an independent educational evaluation, the public agency may ask for the parent's reason why he or she objects to the public evaluation. However, the public agency may not require the parent to provide an explanation and may not unreasonably delay either providing the independent educational evaluation at public expense or filing a due process complaint to request a due process hearing to defend the public evaluation. So when you go to ask for an independent educational evaluation at the IEP team meeting, this can be one of those times where you can get very flustered because a school district may ask you, why specifically are you disagreeing with this evaluation? Jen, do you have to explain why you disagree?
You know, Julie, it's so nice to be able to actually give you a definitive answer on this, and the answer to that question is no. You do not have to give reasons for your disagreement with the school district. The school district, by law, is entitled to ask you the question. They can ask you, why do you disagree? But they cannot require an answer. And so many parents have no idea really why they disagree. Something in their gut tells them, I just don't agree with the conclusions here. This doesn't sound like my child, or I'm seeing a very different child at home. For whatever reason, there's just an inherent disagreement with the school district's testing and no real ability to articulate it. And the law recognizes that. And that's why the school can ask, and you may be asked the question, and Julie and I think as a practical matter, it's a good idea to have some answers. But there is no requirement that you have to answer or explain why you disagree. And if you're really feeling in the corner and like you have no answers for the question, you can simply say, I understand I don't have to give you the answer to that question, and I really don't feel comfortable explaining it here at this meeting. I just don't agree.
Right. And, and if you want to give them some sort of an answer, you can just simply say that you may not agree with the recommendations, or perhaps it didn't answer all of the questions that you have, whatever that you truly do disagree with, but you don't have to give them the whole 9 yards of why you disagree with it and articulate it.
Yeah, and this is one of those areas where you really should be prepared that you may be interrogated, for lack of a better word, about it, because the team sometimes legitimately really wants to know what's wrong with their testing. What is it that you don't feel makes sense? But the reality is most parents don't have the training that the educators do to be able to articulate it in a way that would make sense. And so you just have to stick to your guns and say, look, I really, it doesn't feel like this is an accurate picture of my child. Or you can even say, some of it I agree with. Some of it makes sense if in fact that's how you feel. But this whole section about processing doesn't seem right to me. Or, whatever it is, it's helpful to give some information. We're not suggesting you go in there and say, I don't have to answer that question. It doesn't really bode well for a cooperative meeting. But the bottom line is you're not required to answer it. The school is not at all permitted to just ignore their obligations under the IEE request sections just because you can't give them an answer.
Right.